That's you on live now.
Okay. Hello there, my name is Gillian Turnbull and I am going to talk through some slides today to tell you a little bit about the courses that we offer in the equine department at SRUC on the Oatridge campus. So if there are any questions, I'm pretty sure that you can put them into a chat. I can't see the chat in front of me, but if you go through, if you put your questions in the chat, then I can answer those at the end. So we have 6 types of full-time course. We have further education courses and higher education courses. So I'll chat through the content of those courses. And as a lecturer, I've taught on FE courses, but primarily my job just now is teaching on HE degree level and HND level. So both of those are HE courses, but I do have a knowledge of the content of the FE courses. So there will be maybe some questions relating to that I can answer. And if there's anything I can't answer, then I can find out for you. So we have further education courses at NC level and advanced certificate. So NC is national certificate and AC is advanced certificate. And the advanced certificate was really a bridge between the FE courses and the HE courses to make that transition a little bit smoother. So the NC courses run over 3.5 days, and there are 2 different NC courses that run alongside each other. The racehorse care course is also 3.5 days, and that's a racehorse care course for anyone who particularly wants to go into the racing side of things, albeit that you could do the NC and racehorse care and still go into more of a mainstream route in the equine industry. So 3.5 days for both of those courses, and quite a lot of the classes there are combined, and when there's a racing specific course unit that they're doing, then they would do that on their own. The advanced certificate, 3.5 days, and they are on campus the majority of the time. There's a little bit of time online, but for the further education courses, most of the time is on campus with some of the time online. Moving to higher education courses, that covers the HNC, the HND and the BSc. So higher national certificate, higher national diploma and the degree course, which is a 4-year course up to honours level. So those courses are primarily theory with some practical, so that allows for us to deliver some more of the time off campus on an online basis and some of the time on campus. So there's a bit of a mixture there in terms of the FE courses are practical with some theory, quite a lot of the time on campus. HE courses are theory with some practical, so more of the time is spent off campus. Those classes are, those courses are 3 days for HNC, 3 days for HND, and 3 days but spread over 5 for the honours course. So passing your course allows you to apply for the next level. It's not an automatic rite of passage on to the next level, but if students have worked hard, they have every chance of passing their course, and that then is taken into account when a student applies to the next level. And we do have some students who have come straight from school at the end of 4th year who have stayed to do NC, who then progress on through advanced certificate, HNC, HND, and are doing well academically and may not necessarily have been that keen at school, but the national certificate is a good introduction to college life and allows them then to progress to HE. The only type of course that we offer that's off campus is the Equine Modern Apprenticeship, and that's designed for people that are employed in the equine industry already. So you learn basically while you're earning at the same time. So it could be somebody who is leaving school who would like to go into a job but get a qualification, or it could be someone who is already in a job and wants to formalise that and get a qualification from their current job in the equine industry. So there are 3 elements to the Modern Apprenticeship: the level 5 in horse care or the level 6 in horse care and management. So these are both SCQF level 5, level 6 formal academic courses offered through SQA. There's core skills in IT, and there's also emergency first aid. So these are the 3 elements of our vocational equine modern apprenticeship. They're 12 to 18 months programme, and they are assigned an SRUC assessor to support your learning. So one of my colleagues is the SRUC assessor, and the SRUC assessor would meet the students at the start of their course, and after that they have 4 on-campus study weeks per year. So for 1 week at a time, you would come out of your job and into a college environment, and that helps you to get through the academic things that you might not necessarily get through so much when you're working day to day. Our timetables are over a year split into 3 10-week blocks, and that covers teaching and assessment. So from NC level up to HND level, there are 10 weeks starting from September, there's 10 weeks starting from the beginning of December, and then there's 10 weeks starting from March, and that's the 3 10-week blocks that we have for teaching and assessment. So if you had one subject, that subject is likely to take 10 weeks, and it would be 1 afternoon or 1 morning per week for that subject. Sometimes if it's a bigger unit, that might take 20 weeks, so you do the first block and the second block on that same subject. So you might, for example, on a Wednesday afternoon have a particular subject for 10 weeks, a bit of a break for 1 week, and then another 10 weeks again. Our degree course is in 2 semesters. So there's 2 semesters on the year 3 of the degree course and year 4 of the degree course. And the reason that I say that is because the first 2 years of the degree are the HNC and the HND course. So the HND, if you pass that and you want to continue, you can carry on and do year 3 and year 4, and they are split into 2 15-week semesters. So it's a 30-week year, but we have 3 10-week blocks up to HND level and 2 15-week semesters at degree level. Our classes run from 9 until 12 and 1 until 4. And if you were on the National Certificate or the National Certificate Racehorse Care course, you would do basic horse care subjects. So, for example, watering and feeding, you might do tacking up, you might do basic anatomy, and you would ride once or twice a week. If you're on the Advanced Certificate course, you still do horse care subjects, but they are more advanced. So it would be tacking up for competition, for example, rather than just tacking up. And you would ride once or twice a week, again, on the Advanced Certificate course. So both of those courses are quite practical, and quite often when you have a class, you would come out of the class and not sit there doing 3 hours of theory. You'd come out of the class and some extra time would be spent doing practical things. So those 2 riding sessions once or twice a week are your riding practical, but you might also have practical over and above that. The HNC is made up of equine science subjects, so anatomy and physiology, and that would cover the body systems of the horse, for example, rather than just basic points of the horse that you might cover at a lower level. And the HNC is riding once a week. And I should say that there's always the opportunity for keen students to ride extra. So there might be times where there's students off campus away on placement, or for whatever reason the yard is quieter, away on visits, and there would be the opportunity then for students to go up and ride extra. So it's riding once a week formally under instruction, with the potential to ride extra over and above that. The HND has equine science subjects and equine management subjects. So business management, looking at running your own business. So equine science, for example, would be broodmare. They also have a stallion unit. They have grassland management. And then for business management, you have managing an equine business, planning of equine facilities, so specifically geared towards running your own business. And that course also rides once a week formally under instruction, but again, there is the opportunity for extra riding. Moving on then to year 3 and year 4 of the BSc, they are more advanced equine science subjects and also more advanced management subjects. And there are riding and non-riding options for the degree subjects. So if you particularly didn't want to ride, you could do what's called a non-riding option, and that would mean that while some students were riding, there was another alternative. We are currently working alternative on-campus, off-campus weeks. At the moment, the HND and the degree course are 2 weeks on campus and 2 weeks off campus. The HNC is slightly more on campus and slightly less off campus. And again, as I said earlier, the NC and advanced certificate subjects are mostly on campus with occasional off-campus weeks. If you did want to apply for an FE course at national certificate level, so that's 1 year, you would need 3 Nat 4s, preferably in English and Maths, although we do accept other subjects. So for example, IT and biology would be really useful. IT because it helps you with your written work, and also biology because it helps you with the systems of the horse, for example, when you get to that stage. We have a 2 weeks practical work experience requirement for entry. And in terms of riding ability, you need to be able to walk, trot, canter and ride over poles on the ground or a small fence. And that's assessed via video footage. So if any of you are listening in just now thinking, how do I put my riding experience across? You would be videoed in a practical setting, so riding your own horse or riding a horse that you have in a lesson, or riding a friend's horse, and that's then sent to us via a YouTube video, and that's how we assess your level of riding. And then you obviously fill in your formal application, and that covers all of the academic side of things. For advanced certificate, you need 2 Nat 4s and 2 Nat 5s, again, preferably English and maths, but we again accept IT and biology as examples. That's not to say that we're limited to English, maths, IT and biology, but those are certainly the subjects that if you were choosing just now what subjects would help you going forwards, these would be the ones that we would suggest, and these are our preferred subjects. So if we had a lot of students applying, then preference would be given to students who have the subjects that we're looking for, and we are quite often quite heavily subscribed on those courses. We also again ask for 2 weeks work experience, and riding ability this time is riding over small fences. So you need to be able to walk, trot, canter and ride over small fences, again assessed via video footage. For both of those courses, the 2 weeks practical work experience could be made up of working Saturdays for 14 days. It could be made up of working in the summer holidays. It could be made up of having worked in the industry already and being able to get a reference from your employer. So there's plenty of flexibility for how we ask for you to provide your work experience reference. For both of those courses, for FE level, you apply to the college directly. And that will make sense more when I go on to chat about the HE courses just shortly. So NC and NC Resource Care, 3 Nat 4s, and Advanced Certificate, 2 Nat 4s and 2 Nat 5s. The NC Resource Care was a qualification that we introduced fairly recently in comparison to the NC that's run for a very long time. It is geared to those that are keen to pursue a career in the racing industry. It's not a jockey's qualification. You won't ride racehorses at the college, but it will gear you up towards a career in the racing industry, and the course is tutored by someone who is very experienced in the racing industry, having worked in a high-profile yard for a very long time at a high level. There are smaller racing-specific, what we call NPAs, National Progression Awards, in addition to the NC, and those are the ones that I mentioned earlier that are quite racing specific. So it develops the skills that are required to work in the racing or breeding aspect of the thoroughbred industry, whilst developing your personal, interpersonal and workplace skills, with the emphasis on trying to ensure as well as we can do that you are employable at the end of that year-long course if you decide not to progress on to the advanced certificate. It's still possible to pursue a career out with the thoroughbred industry after the course. So as I said earlier, it doesn't streamline you into making sure that that's the only thing you do, but it is geared to people who are particularly interested in the racing side of things. So typical modules include assisting with resource care, safe handling of thoroughbreds, preparation of horses for ridden work, racehorses for ridden work, escorting racehorses to meetings, and horse rehab and therapy. So those are some of the modules that are quite specific to racing and not just general horse care. Moving on then to the HE courses. The HE level, the start level is the Higher National Certificate. It's a 1-year course, and entry onto that course requires you to have 2 hires at C or above. If you are studying in England, you can have 1 A-level. If you're studying in Scotland, it is 2 hires, and we ask for English and a science subject. And if there's no higher level science subject, although you do have another higher, we would need you to have a science subject at Nat 5 level. So for example, if you had English and, I'm trying to think of a non-science subject, English and PE, then we would need you to have Nat 5 in a science. So you've still got your 2 hires at C or above, but you have Nat 5 level science, and it does just mean that you're better equipped for progressing through the HNC and beyond if you choose to do that. The same in terms of practical work experience, 2 weeks work experience is required. A similar level to the advanced certificate in terms of riding, but the difference here is that there's a higher academic entry requirement. So I would say that the advanced certificate and HNC, fairly similar, but there is a higher academic requirement and a higher academic content on the course. If you held your British Horse Society Stage 1 or 2 or Pony Club B test, for anyone who is listening who is in Pony Club, that would certainly be an advantage, and it would set you off on a very good footing for progressing. And I'll chat a little bit later about the British Horse Society exam training that we do. But if you had your BHS Stage 1 when you came into college, then there is potential for you to then cover some extracurricular training for your Stage 2 when you're on campus. The HND is another year on top of HNC, and you have to pass your HNC in order to progress to the HND. If you pass your HND, then you can progress on to the BSc Honours course, which is another 2 years on top of that. So pass your HND, or you might come direct entry from school with 4 hires at B, C and C. And again, if those 4 hires don't have a science subject in them, you would need to have a science at Nat 5 level. So just to recap, HNC is 2 hires at C grade or above. HND you would progress on to through your HNC, and the degree you could either come in via the HND, having passed that course, or you could come straight from school and do 4 years on the degree course, and that would be B, C and C for your higher subjects. And for all of those HE courses, if you don't have a higher in a science subject, you need to have a higher at Nat 5 level. And whilst the FE courses you applied through college, the HE courses you apply through UCAS. And there's plenty of advice available on that. For those of you still in full-time education, then your school will be able to help you with UCAS applications and the references that go alongside them. The BSc Honours Equine Science and Management course is now in its 3rd year, and it was developed by SRUC staff alongside the University of Glasgow. So basically at the point where it was developed, SRUC didn't have their own taught degree awarding powers. This year onwards, we do have our own taught degree awarding powers, but when it was developed, it was, and it actually still is awarded. So when your certificate comes through, it's a University of Glasgow certificate. Going forwards from this year, it will be SRUC that are able to deliver their own degrees. It's the only equine science degree in Scotland, and it's a combination of science and business management. So, as I said earlier, HNC forms the first year of the HND, the degree, and HND forms the second year of the degree, and then there are 2 years to go after that. Year 3 modules typically are what we call RSDA, Research Skills and Data Analysis, Advanced Equine Nutrition, Behaviour and Welfare, Breeding Management, Exercise Physiology, Equitation Science, International Equestrian Industry, and Equine Health and Disease. And what I would say is that some of those are new subjects that people on the course haven't touched on before. So for example, Research Skills and Data Analysis, there's nothing like that on the HNC or HND. However, there is Equine Nutrition on the HNC, so it's stepping up a level for that. So some of the Year 3 modules are stepping up from what's already been covered, and some of the modules are completely new. So equine exercise, physiology, equitation science, there aren't similar modules on the HNC and D course. Equine health, there is a HNC equine health unit, so it's stepping up there. So lots of interesting stuff on the Year 3 of the course. And then Year 4 is equine welfare and ethics, rehab and therapy, horse and rider performance, business and innovation. That's one of my subjects that I teach, equine science in a changing world, and your dissertation. And the dissertation allows you, hopefully by the stage that you are in Year 4, to have a bit of an idea of what areas you are particularly interested in, and you can choose any equestrian topic there at all. So if it's a breeding route that you want to go down, you could do your topic on a breeding, you do your dissertation on a breeding topic. If it's a equine competition yard you want to go into, then you would choose something more along those lines. So lots of really interesting modules on year three and year 4 of the degree, and this is still in its infancy. We are still developing it and making tweaks to the units, but plenty there for students to get their teeth into. Quite often we are asked, what do students go on and do in the industry after they leave the college? Well, there's a huge number of different opportunities, both within the general equestrian industry and also within racing. So the options are listed there. Quite a few students now who potentially would have left after HND and maybe gone south to do a degree or gone into a job are now staying on to do the degree. Which means that potentially when they enter employment, it might be into something less practical and more managerial or more academic, and some of them then go on from a degree and might want to study at MSc level. So there's plenty of scope for progression within our courses, and depending on the route that you have chosen to go down afterwards will very much determine what one of those areas, and there are many more, what one of those areas you might want to go into from an employment point of view. Some students leave and they don't really know what they want to do. They still they've got a lot of different interests, and usually they go into a job, and if they like that, they stay with it. Otherwise, they might be in that job for a while and decide that that potentially wasn't their favourite area and they want to try something new. So I would say that the courses are all broad enough that they give the students an opportunity to try different things once they leave. In terms of the racing industry, again, a lot of progression within a yard situation. So you could be a work rider, you could progress then to be a head lad or lass, potentially a travelling lad or lass to the races, maybe a yard manager. Some talented riders then could go on to be apprentice jockeys. You might decide you like the racing industry, you want to be in the office, so you're racing secretary. You might decide that you're quite into grassland management, you're a grounds person, or eventually become an assistant trainer or a trainer if that's the end goal. So some of our subjects are mostly classroom based and others are mostly based outside or on the yard. And generally, as I said earlier, the FE courses have more practical, but the theory subjects on the higher level courses also do try to incorporate some practical elements. So just to give you an example, if, for example, we were doing grassland management, we'd chat about the theory of grass, but we'd be out in the field digging holes in the field, looking at different types of grasses, thinking about different types of fertiliser, looking at machinery. So whilst it is quite classroom based, there is an opportunity to incorporate practical in there, and some of that might involve visits, which I'll chat to you about in a couple of slides' time. All the courses follow a blended learning approach, so there is always an element of online, but the FE courses have more face-to-face delivery, whereas the degree courses are expected to develop much more independent learning skills. So just because you're not on campus with a student in front of a lecturer, or a group of students in front of a lecturer, doesn't mean that you stop learning. You take a bit more responsibility for your own learning. All the subjects on all the courses might include theory, non-riding practicals, riding practicals, or visits. So in terms of theory, that could be in class or online. It could be live or it could be recorded, or it might be off doing your own research, reading journal articles or looking things up in the library, or spending your own time looking online. The non-riding practicals could be in the yard or in the field. So for example, selection of the horse might involve looking at a horse's conformation. It might involve watching a horse being ridden. So you're not riding, but you are still in a practical setting. And the riding practicals could be flat work, jumping, lunging, or hacking. And for visits, these are either day trips or study tours, including visits to equestrian businesses, to competitions, and a variety of different places that I'll go through with you shortly. So theory classes, these are some theory settings. I'm not sure why there were sandwiches in this classroom, because it's not what we provide to our students on a regular basis, unfortunately, but these are some HND students on the top left there. The right-hand photograph is, I think, all students from all courses at one point came together and a feed rep came in to chat, and they're holding up a pretend small intestine of the horse to demonstrate how long the intestine is. And we've got a student working on a laptop at the bottom there. And Moodle, the orange circle in the bottom right, is our learning platform. So everything is on Moodle, and Moodle is our kind of go-to where our lectures will be loaded up to, recordings of lectures, links, further reading. There's a lot of excellent resources on Moodle, and that's our kind of primary learning platform. A non-riding practical in this setting here is some students sticking points of the horse stickers onto a horse in the stable. This is a grassland management practical with students digging holes to check on the soil quality. And another non-riding practical where they are looking at a horse's conformation. This actually might be an assessment situation, so they're looking at a horse's conformation. This is a horse that was brought in from outside, so the students haven't seen that horse before. They'll watch him watch him standing still, they'll watch him moving, and then they'll watch him being ridden. And then our riding practicals here, you'll see a jump lesson, top left, and then some lunge work over poles. And also at the bottom there, just a general standard group lesson. For our riding practicals, we do have a weight limit of 14 stone, which is fairly standard throughout the industry and is in the interests of horse welfare. And we have a variety of horses from cobs to thoroughbreds. So we have very quiet cobs to quite lively thoroughbreds and everything in between. So we have quiet horses for people who are less confident, and we have more forward-going horses for who are people who are more confident. And we hope that in your time at college that you do progress from, maybe if you are less confident, that you progress to riding horses that you mightn't necessarily have wanted to ride at the start. So start and quieter horses for less confident riders. And usually our group lessons will be six other riders. We have the use of the SNEC International Arena, the SNEC warm-up arena, and various hacking routes around the campus, and the area down just beyond SNEC is the gallops, and we can ride on that area as well. We have the eventing simulator, and that was launched in 2024. It was named by the students. Robocob. I would like to say this link will work. I will try and play it, but if it doesn't, it will play when you are sent. I think that should be working. Launch of Robocob. I was going to say it will be sent on to you. I don't seem to have any sound on it at the moment. Okay, we don't seem to have sound on that presentation. So if you are sent this on after we finish just now, you will get the opportunity to listen to that. Listen to that in your own time. But basically our eventing simulator is the only one in Scotland, and I don't think there's one north of Chester in England. It costs an astronomical amount of money. It's worth every penny. It basically allows students to ride advanced dressage level, to ride advanced cross-country level, to ride round a big show jumping track on a horse that we are totally in control of. So you'll see the rider here in front of her. There's a screen, and it will tell her whether she's straight. It will tell her who's in the right stride pattern. The horse does feel slightly different to a real horse. I can vouch for that, but it does feel very similar in a lot of respects, and gives students the confidence that someone else is in control of the horse and that nothing untoward will happen. So you can have a listen into the video once we have finished this presentation and you are sent the link. Riding technology is also used quite a lot in the lessons to help riders improve. So we've got rein tension technology, which is shown in the top right, top left. So you've got lights that sit on tension regulator on the top of the horse's bridle, which then links to the reins that are attached to the bit. And if the tension is good, the lights are green. If the tension is red, the tension is not good. And if both are the same, that's good. If you've got more in one and less in the other, you'll have one light is green and one light is red. So it's really quite quite special and a really good help to riders who maybe are struggling to appreciate that there is a difference in their rein tension. We've got saddle sensor pads where the saddle goes on top of the pad, which is shown in the top right. The iPad then shows us whether the rider is sitting more to the right, more to the left. And we have visualize jacket stroke rider biomechanics. So the bottom left-hand picture there is basically used to show riders whether they have the correct straight line, for example, ear, shoulder, hip, heel, or elbow, hand, horse's mouth, or if you look from the back, whether they are sitting straight on the horse, whether their spine is curved, and they are videoed as they're going round, so that then can be used to help them with the riding. And we have a 360 camera, which is another good bit of technology, which I have to say I haven't used, but it is used in the arena. And it basically means that somebody's not having to video a horse going round. You could be videoed without somebody having to be there to do that. The other rider performance equipment we have is for balance. We've got a seat there for helping with hips. The bottom middle picture is a slightly less technologically developed mechanical horse. That's for racing, so it gets students into a racing saddle, and the horse only moves if the rider is doing the right thing. The nagger at the bottom left is to make sure students are not nagging with their legs when they're riding. So that's a new bit of technology as well to us. And then you've got a kind of balance. I'm not sure what the blue half circle is called, but for helping with rider balance, shown in the picture on the right-hand side. The visits we go on are hugely varied, and they are all tied to the subjects that are being covered in class. So the picture at the bottom left is a visit to Timage Haylage Production Factory as part of the grassland management. There's one part of that is grassland conservation and preservation, and that is the visit that was relating to that. The bottom right was a visit to Musselburgh Racecourse, where the students got to present, I think, the best turned out. They got a chat from the trainer, whose back is to us. She was a clerk of the course. She wasn't the trainer in this environment. They chatted about that. They also had a business management talk and marketing, so it was very much related to the subjects that they were being taught at the time. Top left picture is a visit to a show jumping yard. Top right picture, bottom right is to a stud, to a Highland pony stud. Another show jumping top left, and then we have a riding centre visit for business management on the bottom right. So our visits have basically been to a variety of different places. We've undertaken study tours both in the UK and abroad. So we've had Scotland, England, Ireland, France, Holland, and the subjects on, or the visits on those study tours are related to the subjects that the students are learning about. So the 3 photographs shown in this slide are part of a day visit, actually, that was to a racing yard. So the trainer is in the top right-hand photograph looking across towards her yard. Chat about fitness in the bottom left-hand picture. I think the students all had to do fill in a clipboard to assess horses' fitness at different levels, and then cups of tea and looking at photographs was, I think, the bottom right-hand picture. Then we had a trip to an event yard. This one, it's not, this is a bloodstock visit to Floors Castle Stud, and also Floors Castle event yard and a pre-training yard. So we had 3 visits there in one day. This is a trip as part of a study tour. This was actually to Holland, to the KWPN, which is the Dutch Warmblood National Breeding Centre. And actually, it's the first time in this picture on the left that students used equipment in Holland. There was also a mechanical horse there, and we then thought, good idea, let's have that for ourselves. So it's a really worthwhile trip. This is also part of the Dutch trip. So the students got to ride when they were in Holland, chat on nutrition from the yard manager and the mechanical horse in the bottom left. One compulsory part of all of our courses is duties, and they take place out with class time. So you remember that I said 9 till 12 is class and 1 till 4. Duties start in the morning on a rota basis, dependent on horse and student numbers, at 7 AM. And they finish at 8:30. You can then get changed and you're ready in class for 9 o'clock. So you're on the yard for 10 to 7, ready to start at 7 o'clock, Monday to Thursday, and on a Friday, the duties are all day from 10 to 7 until 4 o'clock. And the aim for that is to prepare you to work in the industry. It's different to just looking after your single horse, or even just you and your friend's horse in a livery yard setting, for example. It encourages teamwork. And as I say, it is dependent on the number of students we have and the number of horses as to how often you would be on duties. But I think the HNDs are maybe on twice in a 10-week block at the moment, and they are in a slightly more managerial role, whereas the National Certificate and Advanced Certificate students are not in a managerial role, but they might be on slightly more often. It very much depends on our numbers. Thinking then about clothing, your clothing is a bottle green SRUC sweatshirt, bottle green SRUC polo shirt, a waterproof jacket and trousers, and plain dark or beige breeches. And again, you need to have at least 2 pairs because it isn't always easy to keep them clean if you're riding on a regular basis. Black long leather or synthetic boots, or short boots and leather gaiters. And we say leather or synthetic rather than suede because we have had issues in the past where suede has taken it's not as easy to keep clean, and it's taken maybe a skin issue from one horse to another, and that can be quite problematic in terms of limiting your riding. A correct standard hard hat, and there's a link there to the hat standards. For the racing course, it needs to be a PS 015 is the standard, and plain dark cover. And the correct standard body protector, again, there's a link there to the correct standard, so when you're sent forward this presentation, you can click on that and have a look yourself. But it's a 2018 onwards turquoise label for all of our riding courses, is the most up-to-date body protector standard. You need a short and long whip, gloves, and a hairnet if you have hair that is below your hat, and no jewellery or any piercings. If they are not able to be taken out, can be covered up with tape. Work experience is a minimum of 2 weeks as part of the course, is a minimum of 2 weeks in block 2 or 3 anywhere in Scotland. So as part of that course, the NC Racehorse Care and the Advanced Certificate, it's not just on the NC course, it's Racehorse Care and Advanced Certificate anywhere in Scotland. And that either takes place in block 2 or 3. The HNC and the BSc Year 3 is a minimum of 2 weeks allocated, again, block 2 or 3, and it can be anywhere in the world. But I will say that the student arranges that placement themselves and pays their own transport costs. There is some limited funding, I think, this year for the BSc students to go abroad, and I'm almost certain that some of them are going to Holland with some costs being taken care of. So that's good, but it isn't guaranteed. And I think it's really important to say that wherever you go on your workplace experience, and this is not prior to applying for the course, this is part of the course, that you do pay for that yourself. Vocational qualifications in kind of addition to your full-time training, if you like, would be first aid, safeguarding and protecting children, or British Horse Society exam training for students who have shown good attendance and a positive attitude to their work throughout the year. And this is a range of I think 10 students there, 10, you can count, who passed their, I think it's a stage 1 or stage 2, and they are a range of students from NC level up to HND level. So there's no limitation on what course you're on. It's very much on attendance and positive attitude to your work, and whether you're keen to do that as an extra thing to add to your CV. We're quite proud to have had various Albus winners. The Albus Awards are land-based industry awards that are open to employees or to students in the land-based industry. So in 2021, we had Lucy Phillip got the HE Award, and Kimberly Gallagher got the Equine Learner of the Year Award. She did her NC and progressed to HNC and then on to HND. So that's showing here Lucy on the left and Kimberly on the right. And then last year we had Lara Fell. She was Equine Learner of the Year. She was on the racing course, Racehorse Care course. And we have Victoria McGeekin, Equine Learner of the Year runner-up. She was on Advanced Certificate, progressed to HNC and then HND. So we've got Lara on the top right and then Victoria on the bottom left. And this year we have Ailey Simmons has been shortlisted. The award ceremony is on the 6th of March and she has been shortlisted for the HE award. So she completed her HND in June 2024 and she's currently on year 3 of the BSc course. On campus, our accommodation for those who prefer to live in or who live too far away not to live in is catered accommodation for 16 to 18-year-olds. You would have your own room with a sink, a shared bathroom, a kitchenette with a microwave, toaster. You have your breakfast and your evening meal provided Monday to Friday. Self-catering is 18 years or over. You have your own ensuite room and a shared kitchen or living area. You can't live in accommodation during holiday periods, but you can stay at weekends and you can book short-term accommodation for when it's required, as far as I'm aware, but there is more accommodation information available from the accommodation officer. And then some other points are our holidays during the year that fit in between or in the middle of the blocks that I mentioned earlier are 1 week in October, 2 weeks at Christmas and 2 weeks at Easter. The funding for NC courses and advanced certificate courses is via bursary funding. So in other words, that's funding that doesn't need to be paid back. And SAS funding in the form of a student loan is for HNC, HND and degree level courses. So 2 very different streams of funding there. And if you would like more information on funding, there is someone specialised within the college setting that is able to provide that. For anyone who has additional learning support needs, we have an excellent in-house service which students are encouraged to use. We do, at the start of the year, look at where students have been in terms of their academic career to date. So if they've come from school and they've had learning support, it's very easy to signpost, but it could be that people have come through school, not necessarily managed that easily, but they are keen to progress their academic level of qualification. If they are struggling slightly, we might suggest that they see learning support who can offer a huge array of different types of support, and the earlier that they see someone when they're in college, the better, and the more regularly they do see learning support. And it very much helps a student's outcome if they are regular and proactive about seeking learning support while they are on campus. This year, for the very first time in a long time, we've had student horse livery back on campus at the Sneck Stables. So it's DIY livery for students' own horses, and they are not located within the same horses as our college horses. They are located up the farm, but there is the opportunity to ride in the arenas, to hack around the estate, and that is DIY, so it's done out with college time. And the horses don't get used in college lessons. So it's really important that everyone is aware that that's a kind of add-on, if you like, over and above your college formal commitments, duties and classes. You'd have your own horse above that. So that's the end of my presentation. And I look forward to some questions now, if there are any.
Thanks, Gillian. I can't see any questions. Perhaps you were very, very thorough. I was going to ask, just because we've been asked a number of times about opportunities to come onto campus to visit on a sort of on-campus open day.
Mm-hmm. So our on-campus open day, you will probably have the dates for that more readily to hand than I do, Anushka, but we have on campus, we have someone who will probably go through the same presentation as I've gone through just now. But what would happen is once you've had that presentation, there's a chance to ask questions face to face, which some people are much more comfortable with. And after that, we go on a tour around campus. So we would go and look around the stables. We would look at, maybe there'll be a riding lesson or a demonstration or something happening in the Sneck arenas. And it does mean that for those of you who are maybe less confident or a bit more apprehensive about coming onto campus and riding strange horses, that you have at least an idea of what you're coming to. And it does help students a lot to be able to do that. There is a video that that's I can chat through, and I don't think we have it on part of this presentation, Anushka, but there normally would be a video, but I think the best thing is to come to campus on our on-campus open days. You probably have to listen to somebody tell you everything that I've just listened to already, but the opportunity to see around is really useful. You get to see the resource centre, where you eat at lunchtime, tour of the classrooms, so you'd get an idea of what it is like to be in a classroom, because you'd be there with your, either on your own, with the other candidates for, you know, that are hoping to join our courses, or with a family friend or a parent could come along to that open day, sit in the classroom and then go out on a tour.
Yeah, definitely well worth attending. What I'll do when I send out the recording of this, I'll include again the link to the Open Days website, so anyone interested can book onto that. But yeah, there's no questions I can see. I will include your email in that communication as well. So if someone thinks about a question after, then they can pop you an email.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us, and we'll hope to see you on campus at SRUC Oatridge very soon.